Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome to a brand new video series that I'm going to be trying out. So, ever since I've been doing For Honor content, I've had people ask me, be it in the comment section of videos or in streams, they always ask, hey, which character do you love to play the most? Which character do you think is the best? Which character do you think is the worst? I get asked this all the time. And my normal answer is, every hero in For Honor has something really nice to appreciate, something you gotta love about them, and then every hero has something you don't like. There's every hero, you look at it and go, I just don't like this about the hero, be it their moveset, their fashion, their executions, their voice lines. There's something about each hero that you either love or you hate. So I thought, let's talk about that. So what we're going to do is I'm starting a series called What I Love and What I Hate, and essentially I'm going to go through each hero in For Honor and tell you guys one thing, at least one thing I love about this hero, and at least one thing I can't stand about this hero. And yes, that means I will be talking about heroes that I've ragged on in the past, like Hitakiri, Kyoshin, and Ocelot, and tell you at least one thing I love about each of them. And yes, that means that I'm going to look at heroes that I absolutely adore, like Warden and Lawbringer, and tell you at least one thing I absolutely hate about them. It was not an easy list to compile. It took me some time to think it over, but I'm pretty proud of it now. And also, I will let you know, this isn't just going to be one video. There are a lot of heroes in For Honor, so I'm doing this as a multi-part video. We're going to be starting with the Knights today, then we're going to go into the Vikings, the Samurai, the Wulin, and the Outlanders, and I'm going to talk about each hero and tell you one thing I love and one thing I hate. So, I'm really excited. Let's get into it. Starting off with Warden. What I love. The overall aesthetic and design of Warden is top-notch. When you think a classic knight, Warden is what you think of, and Warden was a large part of what got me into the game in the first place. A knight with a long sword, let's face it, is just really, really awesome. I mean, if you ask Havoc, why does he pick up Warden? Why is Warden his main? He'll tell you, Warden just looks the best. You don't play Warden because he is the best. You play Warden because he looks the best, feels the best. He's very much one of those heroes that you just look at and go, staple knight faction character. Awesome character to pick up. I just really, really adore Warden from an aesthetic perspective and from a weapon perspective because I love the longsword. But what I hate, he is very dependent on his shoulder bash, and I find that a little annoying because he's described as a longsword master, and I'd have preferred a hero who actually had more sword-based mix-ups. This has been a common complaint about Warden for a long time. He's a longsword master. He's a master of the blade. And yet his whole kit revolves around shoulder bash. I think it was very funny. I remember watching one of Havoc's games with Warden, and a guy got on him basically saying, you're too dependent on shoulder bashes, and Havoc pointed out, that's Warden. That's essentially Warden. His shoulder bash is his gameplay. And that's both a good thing, because the shoulder bash mix-up is effective, but it's also a bad thing because I feel like there could have been more done with them. I know they changed up his moveset a little bit to incorporate a little bit more HEMA techniques and a little bit more fun and variety in the way they fight, but the shoulder bash is still their staple, which is kind of annoying, but that's just me, and that's the only thing I dislike about Warden. Next up is Conqueror. What I love. Conqueror is very much a memeable character, especially when you think about the rah, rah, rah thing that he does, that over and over again thing. He was the first character that really introduced people to the idea of emote spamming something funny. And that's why a lot of people like to play Conqueror even now, because it is fun to just go rah, rah, rah over and over again. Actually, it's kind of funny. If you play a female Conqueror, you'll still get the male sounding rah as you do the emote. It's kind of funny that way. So whether you're female or male Conqueror, the developers knew that you still wanted to get that memeable rah. Enjoy that. What I hate. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the flail as a weapon. I would have preferred if our boy Conqueror got the mace instead of a Fira. But you know what? The flail is still effective. I'm not going to question the effectiveness of the weapon. I just don't think it's the most practical weapon. So when I saw that Conqueror got a flail, I was kind of sitting around waiting. Okay, well, when's our knight hero going to come along who gets a mace? Never happened. It went to a Fira, and I can't help but think that's a missed opportunity because you could have given the mace to Conqueror and made him an absolute beast. But c'est la vie, missed opportunity. Peacekeeper. Alright, so what I love about Peacekeeper, beautiful face with that mask removed. Absolutely gorgeous face. Easily the most gorgeous character in the game. When they took away the mask from Peacekeeper, and don't get me wrong, the mask still looks cool, but when you took away the mask from Peacekeeper and you saw that face, it was like, nice. Okay, that was what a lot of people said, just nice. So, honestly, I'm gonna have to go with that. That's what I love about Peacekeeper the most. What I hate. One thing that I always notice about Peacekeeper when she fights is how hunched over she gets. Like, she just hunches over and almost bends her whole torso parallel to the ground. that can't be comfortable, and that's not a typical fencing posture. Since she's a dual blade wielder, I would have thought that she might have a more fencing style posture. Everyone keeps saying that they want a rapier hero, right? They want a rapier style hero in the game. I don't know, I feel like Peacekeeper could have still delivered on something similar. You know, you can have the rapier and the small dagger that goes with it, and I mean, Peacekeeper kind of already has that. You could have had her fight in a very similar manner. I don't get the whole hunched over thing. It can't be comfortable for one thing, and it's just got to do horrible things to your back. But that's Peacekeeper. Lawbringer. What I love. Goated design and weapon. Absolutely choice. His overall dripping game is probably the best. Whenever people ask me who has the best dripping game, Lawbringer is my first thought, because even his before update armor, which is all of his default sets, look awesome. And then his later sets where he gets a cape look even cooler. The dude is essentially a space marine brought back a few hundred years. He's just that awesome. And his weapon, god dang, the poleaxe is one of my favorite weapons in history. So absolutely awesome weapon to go with. Absolutely love the way Lawbringer looks and feels. He just looks great. What I hate. Why is it that the dude with the objective most armor in game has the least hyper armor? I mean, the dude has hyper armor on only one move, his second heavy in chain, and that's not nearly enough to compare with some of the other characters, and it's hardly usable. Yes, I know that they're updating him. Yes, I know that they're fixing him up. He still needs some work, in my opinion. He's not bad anymore. He's not the worst anymore, but he's still not great. He's not where he needs to be. And one thing that I think they could do to make him a little bit more viable is maybe give him a bit more hyper armor to trade with, because with that kind of armor, I think he deserves some hyper armor, don't you? Ah, well. Gladiator. What I love. The way Gladiator moves and weaves around like a boxer is a nice touch. Because one thing that I always question about with Gladiator is, you know, Gladiators historically were more prize fighters. They're more along the range of WWE or MMA, you know, at the very least. You know, they're kind of one-on-one fighters in a gladiatorial arena. Not a lot of fear of death or battlefield conditions. So I like the fact that Gladiator, as played, he plays more like a boxer. He dodges, weaves, bounces around. It makes him seem like a ring fighter, and I think that's a nice touch to give him a little bit more character and personality. What I hate his skewer. Okay, let me be clear. I'm not saying to remove the skewer. I'm saying it's what I hate whenever I fight Gladiator. Gladiator is one of those characters who I say, oh, I love playing them. I hate fighting them. Because I do feel like that skewer can be just so difficult to read and figure out what they're going to do. It's just one of those things. I have a lot of trouble dealing with it. I know there are some people who know the proper way to deal with it. I think what most of them do is just light you out of it. I just don't have those reflexes or that intelligence. I'm kind of dumb that way. But still, that is what I hate about Gladiator. Centurion. What I love. I can sum up what I love about Centurion in one word. Incredibilis. Everything about Centurion feels awesome. He's one of the most balanced heroes in the game. I feel like he has a really solid connection to his punch. I think that he is the one-punch man in terms of like just his overall enjoyability. Just one punch, enemy on their butt, jump on him, take him out. He feels great. And he definitely does embody that Roman aesthetic that I was really looking for in Centurion. What I hate. Where is that shield? Everyone said it, and I'll say it too. He needs his shield. Now, granted, I know that if they added his shield, he'd be broken as hell. But come on, you can't have a Roman soldier without his shield. Just makes sense. Black Prior. What I love. The Bulwark stance is just so useful and so satisfying to pull off. It is one of the greatest defensive counterattack tools in the game, and it can be very risky to try to do because a lot of people will know you're attempting it, but when you can pull it off, especially when you pull it off against multiple opponents, like 2 or 3 opponents at once, I once got it to be a 4-opponent flip all at once, which was amazing counter ganking. If you can ever pull that off, it is one of the most satisfying things in the world. So I love that about Black Prior. What I hate. The problem with Black Prior is I just keep cutting myself on that edge. Black Prior is incredibly edgy. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because in a little bit we're going to talk about, well, the edgiest knight in the entire faction. And Black Prior, you know, you just pale in comparison to this edge. But, you know, Black Prior's still going to try to go for it because, you know, that's just what they do. The tenebris. They just want to go as dark as possible. And I don't know. I feel like if you're going to be a prior, you know, a religious order, I feel like you could go a little bit more in that direction than just the constant edge. But who am I to talk? I've made some edgy black priors in the past. Just look at Deborah. But I'm trying to make a more, you know, wholesome one like Rachel. Whatever. That's for another video. Warmonger. What I love. Now, we talked about black prior's edginess, but I'll say this. Warmonger's got the overall Dark Knight feel down, like straight down to her feats, her abilities, her clawed gauntlets, her creepy demon names. She's got it down to an art, all right? When you want a Dark Knight symbol, the Warmonger's where you want to go. I mean, even the name Warmonger just screams this is going to be a dark, edgy character. A lot of people like to say, Warmonger's just a better Warden. I mean, I guess if you only wanted to look at movesets, but in terms of personality, they couldn't be further apart. Warden can choose to be edgy or wholesome. Warmonger's just going to be edgy. You know, that's just what she's got to do. Writing a wholesome Warmonger, that is a goal of mine. I'm trying to write a wholesome Warmonger, and it is not easy because you just feel compelled to go down that dark route, which, hey, it's a personality. What I hate. Why is it that Warmonger is the only character who speaks English in all of her dialogue? There are some characters, like the Wu Lin, who if you revive them or something, they may speak English to you, but Warmonger, all of her dialogue is English. Now, I know that in lore explanation, English is apparently the universal language of Heathmore, and so everyone speaks English to talk amongst each other, and since Warmonger is trying to spread her gospel of war to everyone, she wants to make sure that there is no confusion and that everyone can understand what she's trying to say. Yeah, but couldn't you just go the Griffin route and be multilingual? You know, I think that would be very creative. Plus, it just kind of breaks away immersion when I hear all these other knights speaking Latin and then I hear her speaking English. It's fine. I just don't like it. Griffin. What I love. Actually, in contrast to Warmonger, I like how he speaks multiple languages depending on who he's fighting. That's actually really creative, and that also goes into his armor. What I think is neat about Griffin is, I don't think he should have been a knight, if I'm being real honest. What I would have done is I would have made Pirate a Wu Lin and replaced Pirate's place in the Outlanders with Griffin, because Griffin hardly seems like a knight to me. Other than the fact that he used to be Holden Cross, there's no connection with him in the knights, because he likes to embody aspects of various other cultures, including language, armor, all that stuff. I really think that he belonged in the Outlander section more than the Knight faction. But that's just me. But that's what I love about him. The fact that he can jump into multiple cultures, multiple languages, I think that's really creative. What I hate. Why the hell is every Griffin Holden Cross? I think that's ridiculous because it destroys the ability to get creative with the character design. What I mean by that is this. Let's say that I wanted to create my own Griffin. Not Holden Cross, but my own Griffin with their own story. It becomes much more difficult when you know that every single Griffin is Holden Cross. I think it would have been fine if you gave more facial designs or made a female variant or did something that allowed you to make it so it's not just Holden Cross and multiple different armor pieces. Because it gets real confusing when you go into a match as Holden Cross, but then you've also got another Holden Cross on your team as well as a Holden Cross on the enemy team. Where did all these Holden Crosses come from? Do they know the Shadow Clone Jutsu? What the hell is this? They're everywhere, man. They're cloning them underground. It's all a conspiracy. Yeah, that's the big thing I don't like about Griffin. And that concludes the Knight faction, ladies and gentlemen. We have gone through all the Knights, and I've shared with you one thing that I love and one thing that I hate about each one of them. It was not an easy list to do because I love the Knights, guys. I really, really do. So it was a little difficult going through each one and telling you what I hate, other than Gladiator. Gladiator's the one Knight that I'm just... no. But anyway, I hope you guys will tune in for the next one where I talk about the Vikings. That'll be very fun. But until then, I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.